Today, I would like to tell you about one of the biggest museum in Vietnam, which is Vietnam Military History Museum. There are a lot of types of museum in Vietnam today, but the Vietnam Military History Museum is always the first place coming to my mind when it comes to historical sites because it is associated closely with my childhood memories. In terms of location, the museum is in the heart of the city on Dien Phu Street, which, which is in close proximity to my childhood home. And when I was a kid, I could easily walk there within 5 minutes. It was also the place I came to every day after school together with my friends around my neighborhood. So I could proudly say that I know this place like the back of my hand. There are two things that I remember the most in the area of the museum. The first one is the, the giant fire tank in the middle of the museum, where I could sit there imagining I was driving it during the war and fire the invaders out of the borderline of Vietnam. And the second one is the flagpole on the rooftop of the museum, where we usually play hide and seek. It has been more than 20 years since my family moved to another place, and I just go to the museum every once in a while because of a hectic schedule. But no matter what happens in the future, the museum and my childhood memories always plays a great position in my heart. Question 1. I think there are lots of benefits when it comes to visiting museums, but the most important benefit I think is the cultural and educational values. Instead of just looking on the internet or on TV, people now can have direct experiences and immerse themselves in the past to see how their ancestors lived, survived, and developed throughout thousands of years of history. And more importantly, Vietnam, a country with a history associated associated closely with wars. Residents can know how fierce the wars were and understand the trauma the ancestors had to suffer from the past in both health and mental well-being to regain freedom for the country as well as the next generations. Question 2. I think my answer is yes. In fact, my parents grew up during the wars in Vietnam, and the objects, the artifacts, and remnants from the past were created and saved at the time so young people today can see it. And I think during the war, our country had to pay 100% attention to chase away the foreign invaders out of the borderline of Vietnam, so they had no money to invest on museums and other historical sites. So, of course, museums today can have more educational value compared to the age of my parents. 3. I think they can use digital marketing to develop their businesses. Most areas of business nowadays use advertisement in particular and digital marketing in general to attract more customers. And I think museums are not an exception. Museum officials can do advertisement on social media or develop their websites so people can find out more useful information about the location, and moreover they can use content-based strategies to distribute more useful content to the customer, and enhance revenue. Question 4. Yes, I would say. If a certain thing is free, it has no value, and it is true for most things, including visiting museums. If people don't have to pay money for visiting museums, they will take it for granted, and they cannot understand deeply the educational and cultural value of the museum like we discussed above. And of course, they would not gain any additional knowledge. I think an amount of the money about 200 or $300,000 is quite cheap compared to the value and knowledge they can get from visiting museums. Question 5. I think it depends on the type of the museum they are about to visit. Most Vietnamese museums are related to war, to heritage, history, and kind of stuff, which is not the thing kids always care about. If the type of the museum are about toys, comics, and whatever types of topics they care about usually, I think they will be more excited to visit. And the second thing I want to mention here is the perception of kids. In fact, at the age of 6 to 8 years old, they can hardly understand the value that museums might bring them, especially in case they are forced to visit it. 6. Well, it's really a tough question for me as I am not good at art during my school time, but I would say art classes can help students form a mindset related to color and shape through drawing, coloring, and so on. Therefore, they can develop their creativity, which can not only help them in their academic lives but also in their careers, as the ability to think outside the box is a crucial quality to help people gain breakthroughs.